Hi, it's nice to come back and, well, talk to you guys again and take a little bit more time out to talk to you about core values today. And last time I made a video, I touched on about my loving of being in control and how this time of parenting during lockdown has really challenged that. And day by day, step by step, it is a journey. I'm beginning to release a little bit more control, and I wanted to share and just talk to you about that today a little bit further. So I love to be in control, and I hadn't really noticed how much I love to be in control until this time of being in lockdown, being at home, and having my children and my husband around all of the time. I'm sure you can all share with me that some days it's a challenge and some days it's absolutely amazing. So control. One thing I've heard and I really love and try and stick to is do everything with a happy heart. So God says, to give thanks in all circumstances, and I believe that needs to be reflected in my parenting as well. So to do everything when it comes to parenting with a happy heart, regardless of where my emotions are at. If I can have that in my heart, to always be thankful and always to be joyful and happy in my actions, my emotions will come into line. And actually a lot of what we do, a lot of our behaviours and our habits, and our actions can come out of memory, can come out of just how we always do things. And so actually just to be able to keep our emotions in check is just one thing, isn't it? When our body just naturally does things, or we naturally just start getting on with making the dinner and doing the washing and whatever needs doing around the house, our body can often just jump into action. And then it's just pulling our emotions in line and going, hey, come on, let's do everything with a happy heart. I'm here to serve my family, and I've been giving them as a great gift, and it's something I really want to do. So happy hearts, guys. It's a challenging one, but if it's in your heart, it will come out of you. It will come out in your day-to-day living. It will come out in your actions. And sometimes we just have to get our mind and our thoughts in check along with it. So with that in mind, handing over control with a happy heart has been a challenge. However, I want to give you an example of something that's happened over the last few weeks since I made my last video with control, and that is allowing my children to bake. I'm always up for and I'm always willing for my children to help me bake, and that's not an issue at all. However, to let them do it and for me to stand out of the way is a big issue. So thankfully, last week I asked if anyone wanted to help bake scones. And on this one occasion, thankfully, my eldest one said, yes, please. She's 8. And my 2 younger ones that are 5 and 3 said, no thanks, and just ran and scarpered. And so I said, okay, let's do this. And I laid out all of the ingredients. I laid out all the utensils on the kitchen worktop and said, off you go, Ellie. Here's the recipe. Bake some scones. And I think she was really shocked and really taken back that I didn't interfere. I didn't question anything. I didn't do anything. I literally walked over, put the kettle on and started making myself a cup of tea. And she did look a bit odd, but she just got on with it. And she started to read the recipe and started to weigh out some ingredients. And I was like, oh, okay, let's see how this happens. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm very much someone that says, yes, help me, you do something. And often, for example, when the kids are rubbing in the butter to the flour for the scones, often they'll say, it's all done, mummy, I'm done. And they'll run and I'll say, right, go wash your hands then, ready for the next stage. And then I get in there and I'm rubbing the flour into the butter into the flour to make sure all the lumps are really gone. And I was like, gosh, that's just my control, isn't it? Or often they'll cut a biscuit out, we do biscuits, or a scone with the cutters, and they're like, here you go, and placing it on the baking tray. And then as they're doing the next one, I'm reshaping it on the baking tray to make sure it's a good shape, to make sure it doesn't have any holes in, to make sure it looks all right. And I was like, oh gosh, it's just control all of the time. And so I sat down. My youngest kids were really happy, so I sat down in the dining room with my eldest baking scones in the kitchen. I left her to it, and I was there, and I was enjoying my hot cup of tea. It was beautiful, and I was chatting to her the whole time, and I was allowing her to ask questions, but I was just giving answers back. I was just responding. I wasn't interfering, and the scones came out absolutely wonderfully. Obviously I helped with the oven part, but it worked really, really well, and she was so super proud of herself for the fact that we sat down once they were baked and we had one, and they were genuinely really nice, and everyone really enjoyed the scones, and she was so chuffed with herself that she'd done it herself. I was so chuffed that I'd let her do it and actually genuinely celebrated her for doing it, and the result was brilliant. And okay, there was probably more mess than if I'd been hands-on the whole time, but it's just mess, isn't it? And it's something I had to just let go of and say, I don't need control over everything. I need to give my children room to do things. I need to give them space to do things, and I need to allow them and give them permission not to do things perfectly. And that's been really hard for me, to allow them to do things, even though it's not often done in the way I would like it done. It's not often done to the standard I would like it done, and actually that doesn't matter. The fact is, they're in there with their happy hearts, and they're doing it. They're raising themselves up to the challenge of, hey, let's tidy your room today. And they're doing it with no fuss, they're doing it with happy hearts, and they're doing it without screaming at me going, I don't want to do it, because I'm not going, well, that's not good enough, or that's not being put back in the right place. I'm going, you make a great effort. I can help you if you want me to help you, or we can do it together if you would like some company, because often that's all it is, isn't it? They just want a bit of company, and someone to talk to while they do stuff. But they're in there and they're doing stuff. They've been so much happier to fill the dishwasher for me, which again I've really had to let go of, because things haven't been put in the place where I think they should go, or I think would be best for them. But actually the kids are happy to do it, and I really need to celebrate them and concentrate on celebrating them, and saying thank you and saying, great, I'm really, really appreciative that you're helping me out and you're making an effort for mummy. And that's been I suppose my little story over the last few weeks of just letting go of a bit more control. And I'm not there yet, but every day journey on, and I'll keep letting go a bit more and keep relaxing into it a little bit more, about things not being perfect or the way I think they should be, but just stepping back and letting my guys have so much more hands-on in activities and helping housework. I let my kids strip a wall the other day with wallpaper, and I really was not in control of that, and that was fine. At the end of the day, yes, there was more mess, but actually they then helped me tidy because I'd given them that responsibility at the beginning. They were willing to help me tidy up the mess that was made. So actually it worked out really, really well. So there's lots of things I'm learning in this letting go of control. But along with the control, and something I want to touch on now is our core values, because I think these merge quite well together, and this is something God's really showing me over this time, is that as we are together all the time, and especially for me, that we're not going to a church building and we're not in church, yet we are still, me and my husband are still quite involved in helping the church run and live streaming Sunday meetings, putting out videos like this, and for our children's work. We're still quite involved in things, and just wanting to connect with people and make sure that no one's feeling isolated in our church, if you like. And I'm making a lot more efforts to kind of be better on my phone and on Facebook and texting people, and I'm not always very good at that at all. So it's something that I'm consciously choosing to do, and those kind of things are really speaking to our children, and that comes out of what I call core values. So when I say core values, I mean things that are really important to you, and to you as a family as well. So when my husband and I got married, we had similar core values, but we also had some different ones. And over the last 10 years, these core values have definitely merged together, and there's some that I've really taken on of his, and there's some that he's really taken on of mine. And as a family, we've found our own core values. And I think the biggest one that has come from my husband, if you like, and we've really both now got hold of and taken on in our family, is excellence. A spirit of excellence. So, we are filled with the Holy Spirit. God has created us, and everything we do is with excellence, because it's not by us, it's by His grace, and it's not through us and our trying and striving. It's through the power of the Holy Spirit that we can do everything we do to excellence. And this one's quite hard, I think, especially when we're having to do lots of new things, and find new ways of teaching our children, new ways of communicating with people, new ways of doing church. Actually, how do we keep that spirit of excellence in us? But my husband is one that, so he works in a theatre, lighting, sound, graphics. He's very much visual, and everything has to look and be amazing and the best that I can possibly make. And this is something I've really struggled with as a person, because we're all human, and my human nature goes, no way, you're not good enough, no way, you don't have that, you can't produce excellence. But actually, it's something, regardless of how long things take, regardless of how much effort it takes, we're gonna do the best that God enables us to do, and by His grace and the power of His Spirit, we're gonna be the best that we can be, and we're gonna produce the best things we can produce, and we're gonna put that effort in. My husband is someone that works hard and knows the value of time, and he always wants to earn his way in that sense, and he really respects people's time, I think. And so that's definitely something where he goes, well, I'm going to put the best I can put in, and I'm going to put the most effort I can put in. And that's something that I've picked up, and that's something that we really encourage in our children, and go, actually, my children are still young, their attention spans are 0 some days. Other days they can be 10 minutes, other days it can be a good, wow, we've got a big project going on and we're sitting here for a good hour doing stuff. But actually, guys, you need to put in the best you can put in. And whether that is, actually, this has taken me this long and it looks like this, or whether they really have tried and it still looks like this, guys, I love it, because you've put the best that you can put in. And it's instilling that in them, that goes, here's a core value that as a family is part of us. And they're really beginning to see that, because we're working from home, we're doing stuff together as a family, and we've involved them in a few of the videos that we've made, and we've said, actually, we want to put in the best we can put in. And this is a really hard one, I think, when it comes to control as well, because my children's best will be very different to my best. because I'm an adult and because I'm bigger and because I have a better attention span, some days anyway, when I don't get distracted by other things. So, but I have to remember that and not devalue what they're doing, but actually put it on a different level and say, but you're 5 and that is actually the best you've put in, and that is amazing what you've produced, even though it looks different to mine. And it's not expecting too much of them. And I don't mean that in a negative way, I mean that in they're children and they generally have tried so hard and put the best in that they can put in. So I'm going to honour them for that, I'm going to champion them for that. And I love to treat and celebrate my children, and not in a way that they get everything given to them, but in a way that, wow, you just want to cuddle for 10 minutes without me having any other distractions. I'm going to give that to you and sit and tell you how wonderful you are. That is a huge treat for them, in a sense of they've got mummy one-on-one and they really love that, and actually that's all they need. Yes, they love it if I go and buy them an ice cream, absolutely. They love it if I buy them a gift and a toy, but it's those little things as well that they really, really adore. So spirit of excellence is a big one in our house, and I find that really hard when I want to be in control, but it's something that I just have to remember and let go of my control and remember that this is a journey and this is something I'm growing my children in. Another one that I think has come from me a lot and is now merging into my family, especially when we are involved in church and during this lockdown period, and our kids can see what we're actually doing all of the time. They don't just go off to school and they come home and say, "Mummy, what have you done today?" And I go, "Oh, I'm not really sure actually, but I know I have done a lot because I haven't sat down, so not really quite sure, kids." But you know, I do things, honestly. But there is a sense of my life is not my own, my time is not my own. I was bought at a price and I'm here to serve the kingdom of God with my time, with my creativity, with my money, with my love, with everything I have. I'm here to serve the kingdom. And this is one which I believe is really impacting our children right now, because they can see and hear about absolutely everything that we're doing. And usually, like I say, they might go to school, or they might not see or hear of a phone conversation that I've had, or they might not realise what we're doing sometimes, but they're seeing it and they're going, "Oh, but we're not in church, so why is Daddy still busy?" Or "Why is Mummy doing this? Why are we doing these videos?" Because we want to serve the kingdom of God, and that's a core value in us. And my children are really seeing that right now, and that's something I'm loving passing on to them, and for them to physically be able to see us work it and live it out right now. It's in my children. There is so many things coming out of them anyway. Often before we came into this lockdown period, they know that Mummy and Daddy would usually be one of the last people to leave our church building. We would be tidying it up, we would be putting the chairs away, and often my children would help. One, because they know that we just help out and that's what we do, and something needs doing, so we do it. But also probably because they knew we'd get home quicker for lunch if they just got on and helped, because it was an extra pair of hands. And I think, you know, there's part of that in them because they're children, but also I can see it and I know that it's gone deeper in them because they do help and they do it with a happy heart. There's not moaning about it, and that's where I go, wow, this isn't their arm being twisted. This is a core value that's gone in them and is now being acted out of their behaviour because they're helping without being asked. They're happy to let Daddy sit in his office and help live stream stuff without moaning, "Where's Daddy?" They understand that mummy needs to make a phone call, or just we need to go deliver a parcel to someone just to help them out, bring a smile to their face, and they do it with happy hearts. And so I really believe that over this time, and as we continue in this social distancingness and this lockdown period of our church being closed, core values is something I'm so passing on to my children right now, because they're able to see it and they're able to live it with me, and not be separate from me at this time. So I love that God is using this to really put something deep in the younger generation in my family. It's not a sweeping time where, this just, I don't know, just a little bit of time, we'll get through this, we've got the rest of our lives. No, this is a time where God is doing something in the younger generation in my family. He is putting stuff into my children that I think the first few weeks I wasn't even aware of, or I was a bit like, novelty, lockdown, it will end soon. But actually, I don't want it to end just yet, because I'm seeing stuff happen and I want to keep going with it. And not every day is easy, but those days, if it's my bad and I'm grumpy because I'm tired, I go, hey kids, I'm sorry about today. Let's go to bed. Mummy will get some good sleep and we'll do better tomorrow. If it's them, I'm like, okay guys, let's get some good sleep. Let's try again tomorrow. Not every day has to be a scheduled achievement, but we can relax and we can go and see this as a blessing and a privilege to have more time with our kids and invest some core values in them that we wouldn't normally get time to put in them, or they'd only get little bits of them. This is an intense time. We used to go camping, big faith camp. Some of you may have heard that. We used to go to, we have big church conferences, and our children would get big, intense times, 48 hours a week of just God teaching in them. This is an intense time for our children to get God teaching in them, to get things passed into them from us. This is really significant and a really exciting time to take on passing stuff on to our children, showing them, demonstrating to them their inheritance that they can have from us, that God has put stuff into us and now we can pass it on to them. Our children need that. They need to be impacted and just pushed so full of stuff that they run the race so much further than we would get. Okay, invest in them, guys. Cherish this time, because like anything, it will go by. It is going by quick, and it will continue to go by so quick that when we're out of it, we'll go, gosh, what did happen in that 6 months, a year? Like, what actually did we learn? What did we come out of that with? And that's always a good question to ask. What do you want to come out of this with? And yeah, see what response you get. Ask God, what is He doing in this time, that when you come out of it, what will be there? What will be a milestone that God would have done in you and your family in this time? Well, it's been lovely to talk to you again and to share some thoughts with you. And I hope that was really beneficial for you, and I hope it was really encouraging. Take care, and I'll see you next time.